Go ahead, go ahead. Someone wants to talk to you real bad, I guess. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. No, no, you can keep on talking. I'll just put it on hold as you talk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. So we as a people are in the habit of seeing the negative of shit. Not to say that we don't have a reason to, because we've been through some fucked up shit. And that's part of the picture. When we say keep it real, we talking about mostly some negative shit. And there's a survival reason for us seeing the negative, because a positive doesn't threaten you. See what I'm saying? We do see the negative, but we see it better and we can see it further than other people, because when we are able to do that, when we have the cognitive gears to see that stuff, then we can avoid a lot of things that somebody who's all happy-go-lucky and like fake positive can't see, right? However, the positivity is a part of the data. The things that are working are a part of the data, right? And I had to get myself out of that because, yeah, the structural racism real as hell. Feel me? They really own this stuff. Like I spent the whole first part of the hour talking about what the white supremacists was doing, right? We do have certain assets on the field that our ancestors did leave us, right? We still got black banks. They small, but they mighty. We still got the millionaires, finally, black millionaires. They finally have the political and cultural will to have a LeBron James talking about some black ass shit, to have Killer Mike and Usher investing all of this money into one united bank. You feel me? Like we do have the internet. We do have access to information. These are the things that we have on the field. I'm talking about thinking about a survivalist, thinking like a survivalist, right? We do have these things. But if you don't look at the positive too, then you actually don't see the assets that are in your corner. This is not to gaslight you out of your oppression. I know that shit real. I know it's real. I lost a partner because of that, all right? When you take in the other sides of the positive data, all you're doing is simply saying, this is what's also in my favor. That's
Got it. 832, what's up?
Yo, chat. This is Monty on camera. A couple of things. We have a lot of hypotheticals in the chat. But I just want to say that a lot of us are saying what we will do. And I even saw one person say, you know, they're ready to leave America. I will agree with Theo on the fact that we need to have a strategy. But along with the strategy, we need to educate ourselves. We don't, just as regular U.S. civilians, we don't even know our rights. If the police pull us over, we don't even know how to get out or what they can and cannot do. So we need to educate ourselves, and we also need to learn. I think it was DB saying we need to learn a skill, and we also need to learn how to build and do for self. So if we're going to come together and unite and do some shit, can we grow our own food? Because if we're really going to do some shit, we got to stop shopping at these white-owned grocery stores. We got to stop shopping at these, but we got to we don't even want to stick our money together. We don't want to read. There's a lot of shit there's a lot of hypotheticals in the chat, but there's a lot of stuff we're not doing. We have to do our part to break down the system. As far as it goes to voting, I don't think, a lot of people keep saying Trump supporters. If you're not for Biden and Kamala, it doesn't mean that you are for Trump. It does not mean that. If somebody says, hey, your choice is apples and oranges, and I say I want grapes, nigga, I want grapes. I don't want none of that. So me not voting for Biden and Kamala doesn't mean I'm for Trump. Also, I saw somebody, I think it was Reggie, saying something about damn, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, black people, for us to stick together, we have to read, we have to spend our money together, and we also have to get our resources together. And our biggest problem, even though we have black-owned businesses, we have all this stuff, our biggest problem is that we don't manufacture anything. So we got to go out the country and we got to go to other people to get our shit. That's our biggest problem. I feel like one of our biggest problems.
I appreciate that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, seriously. You were hitting on some real ass points, and you got a lot of passion, and I definitely roll with that. You're right, but I believe we're saying the same thing. We got to look at our assets so even we know what to combine. You see what I'm saying? But in general, there are a few black manufacturers, even if it's like there's like this black company that like makes juice and shit. You feel me? There's these positive Black story Facebook groups. You'll be surprised what Black folks is up to these days. They're just not penetrating the popular narrative. Black IT companies that specialize in cybersecurity, things of that nature, right? Black-owned trade schools that are helping brothers that are fresh out, you know what I'm saying, like trying to get a skill when they just coming out of incarceration. You wouldn't believe that the sister was able to end cash bail here in Colorado, that another sister was able to fight off prison industrial complex. There are things that we can do. The fight is very real. I can't overemphasize. I'm not one of these conservatives that's going, and I'm not a conservative at all, but I'm not one of these people that's going to come up in here like, it's all in your head, Negroes, get over yourself. No, motherfucker, this shit real. you know what I'm saying? 100%. We have things that are going for us in our favor. You know what I mean? And in terms of a vote for Biden, or not voting for Kamala is being a vote for Trump. So I would say, like, my first election was 2000, Bush versus Gore. You feel me? And I voted for Nader like a motherfucker. In 2012, I voted for a third party too. You feel me? I voted third party a hell of a lot of times. At this situation that we got right now, Trump needs a supermajority to defeat him. And that's the only thing that's not only going to defeat him, but stop the violence. If it's close and he says that the shit was rigged, you will have these people spilling blood in these streets, I promise you. These white supremacists, far-right extremist terrorists will be out here killing if it's close. So I'm trying to engineer a landslide and then get your grapes. You feel me? Like, at this point in time, you may want grapes, but there's hella apples that's in the way. There's some oranges, and behind the oranges is the grapes. So it's like one thing at a time. You know what I mean? I feel like at this point in time, I need Trump out of the White House, and then for the country to start assessing his historical damage. And in that historical damage report, you will find a lot of fuel for what we need for the momentum behind reparations because of how racist him and his movement is. You see what I'm saying? I need history to start assessing this cat after November 3rd. That's what I need. You feel me? So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And like, we, you know, as a free country,
Democratic Party right now, I feel like when we get a black candidate, or whether it's for president, vice president, whatever, whenever there's a black candidate involved, I feel like people don't vote blue or red. They vote black or other.
Yeah.
The thing with voting, the thing with my people voting black is she done already told you. First of all, Biden been told us what he stands for. Kamala has showed us what she stands for. And I'm not going to tell you which way to vote, don't vote, go vote. I'm not going to tell nobody what to do and what not to do. However, is when the problem is when we get black candidates, we don't see red and blue anymore. We see, when we don't see what they stand for and what they don't stand for, we see a black candidate. No, regardless of what they stand for, regardless of what they've shown you, regardless of what they put people in jail for, you see black. And like Sergeant Dorsey says every Wednesday, all skin folk and kin folk. Like, y'all have to literally sit down and say, this shit is not for me. This shit is not for me, on the red side and on the blue side, because you're voting black. You see a black candidate and all that shit goes out the window. It's just like when pastor is up there preaching. It don't matter that what he's saying is wrong. You hear pastors say this, that, and other, and that's what you go for. Stop looking at people's skin tone and thinking, oh, they are for me, because that's not the case.
It's a real thing. Historically, you are absolutely 100% correct. We do vote along our color line. And for example, there was plenty of things that Barack Obama could have done for us had we had an agenda on the table and forced that agenda, but we did not. And because of that, he got to be the fox smiling in our face when all the time he was just a dog. So yeah, sister, I feel you 100% on that. This happened in Denver. Like, we got this black mayor. He, you know, he'll skin and grin and brother man dap you up. He'll brother man dap you up and talk about barbecue and fat asses. He'll do all that shit. And when he get in office, he'll gentrify the hood. We're dealing with that in Denver right now. So, sister, I'm telling you, I had to fight against him, right? In fact, I'm not even going to go into that story. Here's what I will say. We were able to force his hand on a couple of issues because he's in his third term as mayor now. And in the second term, we let him know under no uncertain circumstances, this is what the fuck you're going to do for us now, right? You see what I'm saying? When we got into the position that we were able to eliminate the for-profit prisons, politically, he knew that his constituency was so far down his neck, he couldn't afford to stand against it. In any of his previous 2 terms, he would have done that, right? There was a black dude named Brooks who we voted. We had to vote a Latina in there who was about black people's issues because the brother was not. He was on some, and he did the same shit. Skin and green, come here, dap you up. He knew all the dap. The nigga know all the dap, right? He come up in there, talk the same shit, you know what I'm saying? He do the electric slide when Frankie Beverly and the Mays come on. I mean, black, supposedly. Except for he enabled the downtown Denver business partnership, which gentrified the fucking neighborhood. So he was like this tool. He was like this, but nah. But then we got onto him. And this Latin sister who was really about our lives, her name is Candice Baca. We had to elect Candice Baca and kick the brother out because we got wise to that. So we actually have done that. And here's what I feel. I said it before and I'll say it again. Biden, if he becomes president, is going to have to get a Democratic majority to overcome the conservatives. There is a voting bloc in Congress and hopefully in the Senate, if a couple of these candidates get in that we think is going to get in, that's going to be really talking about our shit, the progressive wing. The motherfuckers who's really not afraid to like talk about reparations conversations, stuff like that. In order to get the votes that he needs for legislation, Biden will have to pass legislation that gets those folks on his side. So strategically, it's still, and if you don't believe me, tell me what policy offerings the conservatives have given us. Besides get over it, Negroes. It's all in your head, Negroes. What have they given us besides Candace Owens? You see what I'm saying? Like, the conservatives are not hearing shit about reparations. If you saw the black people that spoke at the RNC, they was like, America's fine, fine, fine. There's no problem with America. America's great. Why make America great again? It's already great. We're just going to make greater. That's the line that you have to toe if you're a black conservative. You see what I'm saying? So who's more likely to really listen to what the fuck you got to say? The people who was afraid to put together the word systemic and racism in the same sentence, or the people who are at least willing to talk about that and create a public record of them talking the talk. And now we have a reason to force them to walk the walk. That's what I think is the more strategically sound, because the Republicans ain't shown me shit. They ain't shown me shit. That's why I'm over here and I'm talking about realistically, you know?
All right, I have one question and then I'm back in the chat. I'm gonna ask and then I'll hang up just so you can answer. Okay, once you vote for Biden and Harris, then what? Because we already know we're not getting shit. So then what? All right.
So thank you so much for that, sister. I wouldn't be so sure. You wouldn't get a reparations situation like along with the presidential election realistically. You see what I'm saying? Like you would get a candidate and then the candidate during their time in office would create, or we would force an environment by which we would have the legislation. So you're not going to be like, okay, if I vote for you, give me reparations, and then on November 4th, cut the check. See what I'm saying? That's not how realistically that would work. So what would work was creating an environment within the governance that legislation that would be written and debated about and put on the floor for these next 4 years will be palatable to your agenda once you present it clearly. I really like what Ice Cube's doing right now. There's the Tangibles 2020 folks like Tariq Nasheed, and he don't want folks to vote. I feel him. I didn't vote. You feel me? So if niggas don't want to vote, please understand I feel you. Like, for the very reasons that you be like, man, fuck both of these motherfuckers. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I've taken 4 years to assess the situation, and that's where I land.
Yeah, we've had